All right, guys, so we're here. We're just gonna recap a little adventure that Kevin has been able to go on here pretty recently.
Yeah, let's talk about the 2024 spring bear season.
Let's do it.
Man,
So how'd it go?
it ended well for Brody and I.
Okay.
Brody and I were able to fill some tags. The first two shooters that we seen come in,
Yep.
we shot them, and then yeah, so that's how it ended.
Well, how did it start? Let's start.
Really-
Let's go back to the beginning.
Really cool ending. I can't wait to tell you about it. So the beginning of bear season, I guess that started for me about around April 1st. We got our teepees and our stoves and stuff. We wanted to make sure those were going to work.
Yep.
So got out there, started testing those out.
Learn how to use the stove properly.
Yeah,
Before,
use
before the big hunt.
the proper way to use that specific stove.
Good.
Turns out you got to run the flue wide open.
Who'da thunk?
Who'da thunk? I try to, in the bigger tents and the bigger stoves, you can dampen it both ways, and you're gonna be all right. Yeah, but these particular stoves, you got to run that thing wide open, or it's just gonna. What was happening to me is it was dripping soot down onto the top of the stove.
Yeah.
And it sounds exactly like the fire burning inside the stove. So when you close your eyes, I thought the stove was just burning. And I woke up, dude, and there was just smoke everywhere.
You cut your trip a little short.
Yeah.
So, I guess we can start with who came out for the hunt.
So we had Chase and Jake as veterans. They're both veterans. They came up from Mississippi.
Nice.
Chase brought his wife, Megan, and then Jake brought his son, Aiden. And it was right around his birthday as well.
How old was he turning?
I think he was 15,
Nice.
turned 15.
It's a good little birthday trip.
Yeah, great group. Probably one of the funnest groups I've taken out.
Nice.
They came from 65 feet elevation. They've got some dense trees and stuff down there, but they hadn't seen anything like what Idaho has to offer. I guess they did come in the year before and go do a solo hike in the Sawtooths, but yeah, man, what a great family. So they came in at the end of May.
Okay.
Yeah, towards the end of May.
Pretty much where it all started, right? We had to go to the airport, pick them up.
Yep. In between all there was a whole lot of sleeping in a teepee and trying to find bears.
Yes.
And getting stuck by snow drifts and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so we had set up some bait barrels. We set up a bait about 3 weeks before they got there. We were finally able to get into a spot, set up a bait site. We hadn't had any action on the bait site up until the day they got there, or the day they were going to leave.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we went and picked them up from the airport. We were going to go to initial ascent and have them fit for their packs, but with the storm coming in, we were trying to beat that storm getting set up and on the mountain. So
We barely made it.
we barely got things set up, and then that storm came through. That was pretty.
Yeah.
I think you left.
I'd already left. I went
Yeah.
with you guys to pick them up from the airport. Went to Walmart, picked up their tags, got them squared away, some last minute items.
Yeah.
And we head up to the mountains.
Yeah, yeah, that was pretty awesome. They slept right through that storm.
I would have too, man. That was a long trip.
Jake and I actually calved up. I was like, lightning was hitting pretty close. But anyway, so we went out and just hiked our butts off, tried to find some bears, and couldn't put any eyes on them.
Yeah.
We found out that there was a motorcycle race that was going through the middle of everything that we were trying to hunt and had scouted and planned out, and so it just the best laid plans, right?
Always.
And but so we got on Onyx and Go Hunt and started mapping things out, and we kind of e-scouted there in camp a little bit and figured out a spot that we wanted to go to. We called you came up, and We picked up mostly everything. We left base camp there. We picked up everything we needed for spike camp for 4 days, and went over to another range.
Yep.
And we had it planned out. We wanted to go a lot further in than we were able to go, but again, snow drifts. That late snow just
It was ridiculous.
Really messed things up for us.
No, it was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And that was a fun day too. I got to make that drive twice.
Yeah. Yeah, gas station food.
Apparently gas station food's not the best thing to eat before a hike, because then Dan has to come all the way back, 2-hour drive. So, but anyways, you guys were in the right area though, because you were saying you came across some scat like in camp basically.
Yeah, so about 50 yards from the fallout point, back from the fallout point, we actually had to walk back up the hill a little bit for camp, but I walked Jake back up to the trucks, and then I told those guys, hey, we need to camp somewhere in here so we can wake up and we can go sit on this side of the hill and glass this way. And so when I got back down there, they had ended up camped on top of this hill that, anyways, it was about 50 yards from the breakdown.
So he almost made it.
Just about. He actually made it further.
Yeah, because he had to walk back to where,
But, yeah, so I got down there. I didn't even set up my teepee. It was going to be clear that night, so I threw out my bedroll and all that and just laid underneath the stars. As I was walking around, though, and finding everybody where they were glassing and stuff, I ran into like 6 different piles of scat from the fall before. And so I was like, oh man, sweet, we're in a good spot here. Yep. We should be able to put eyes on some bears. And man, we sat there and glassed day and night, all day.
Nothing.
Just till we couldn't see anymore. We'd eat lunch on the side of the mountain. Like they hunted hard. We hunted hard, and nobody complained one bit.
That's awesome.
I'd never seen calves before. They were just like month-old calves, if that.
The elk calves?
Yeah, elk calves. So that was awesome. Didn't put eyes on any bears. And then the second night, I was like, hey, you know what? We probably ought to put the teepees up. It's looking pretty cloudy, and we could get some weather any time. So we put the teepees up, and then that next morning we sat up and glassed for a little bit, and everybody was just ready to go, kind of defeated.
Yeah.
Really defeated. I mean, honestly.
That's a lot of work, man, to not even see anything. That's disheartening.
Yeah. I mean, it was tough.
It's hunting, but still, you make the trip all the way out here from Mississippi, and yeah, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah. So I felt terrible. They'd all had a great time and laughing and joking the whole time and all that. So yeah, we packed up that morning and headed back to the truck, and about 50 yards outside of camp was the biggest pile of bear shit I've ever seen ever. It was like 4 of Gary Coleman's arms stacked up.
Oh jeez.
At first I was like, I don't know what animal that is. And just we landed on bear shit.
Yeah.
And so we were walking back to the trucks. We're like, oh man, that's freaking crazy. He had to walk within 11 yards of camp. He was walking that road. There's a little road there. And so he had to walk about 11 yards outside of camp. And then as we were walking back to the trucks, through the snow drifts, there's just big old freaking bear prints. It felt terrible to leave that area. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So one last kick in the nuts from Idaho, we thought.
Yep.
But yeah, so we packed up, went down to the truck, and got back into town, and I got a notification. And so pulled up the picture. It was from the trail cam. Pulled up a picture, and there was a blonde bear in there.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty looking blonde bear. She's a little on the small side. I would have had to see her in person,
Yeah.
to know if I was gonna have to break his heart and say, nah, she's not quite big enough. But great looking bear, just
Man.
blonde, super blonde top, really long hair, just gorgeous. Cinnamon face with some cinnamon paws too. But so we see her on the camera. I'm like, well, we finally got a bear in the bait site.
Right.
So what do you guys want to do? Like, you guys have to leave tomorrow. I can take you back to the hotel and you guys get showers and all that stuff. Or we can go sit this bait site until we can't see anymore. And then we can go home. But we had to get out of there. There's another storm coming in that was going to put down a bunch of rain. And that road is just, there's bentonite mud spots on there that if you can avoid it, it's best to avoid that shit.
We figured that out last year during elk season.
Yeah. All
That mud's no joke.
All down the side of my truck.
Yep.
Yeah, so we didn't want to go through that again. So they said, let's go sit the barrel. And then Jake and Aiden actually went to go sit Jake's bait site too.
Okay.
So we're all sitting on a bait site. Jake had his set up. He had bears coming in until that night when they sat there.
Of course.
And then we went down to our bait site, got set up, and I mean, I told him, hey, it's going to be a long night, but we got to stay here until we can't see anymore. Or
especially on the last night.
Yeah, or until this storm starts to hit, then we got to take off. But yeah, I didn't hear any complaining out of Megan at all. And then Chase was like, hey, well, I think it was like 9:10, 9:15, somewhere in there. He's like, hey, let's just pack it up. Let's go.
10 more minutes.
Can you give me 10 more minutes? Like, we're already here.
Yeah.
Well, kind of kicked it around a little bit and decided, they were done, wanted to take a shower. And I get a notification at the truck, but it's not, I can't get enough service to pull up the picture. So I'm like, you know what, we're just not even going to look at this thing. And sure as shit, like, we get down into town and that bear came in. Right as we closed the truck doors, that bear was in the bait site.
Oh, man.
So it was still well within legal shooting light, but that's just the way, that's the way it went.
Yeah.
So, got back to the hotel and Megan came outside. I was like, just don't say anything. Just don't bring it up.
Just don't even tell them.
What's that picture? Just don't. We don't even want to look at it right now. Just, you guys had a good time. And so they bugged me enough. I showed them the picture and I was like, yeah, dude, right? 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, just another 10 minutes.
Man.
But
that sucks, dude.
It was still a
But they
really
had a
good time. Yeah.
It was an experience.
They got to see so much.
Yeah.
They learned a lot from using the packs. We bought those 6 IA 5K packs.
Put them to good use.
Yep, put them to work. Filled them up with all the essentials, that they needed.
Yep.
A TP per team.
Yep.
So per 2 people, we'll do a TP and a stove. So one person carry the TP, the other one carry the stove, and makes everything lighter.
Yeah. It's the buddy system.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep. Got to have your battle buddy.
Yep.
But
so they ended up not tagging out. But that didn't mean those bait sites are going to go to waste and not be used anymore, right?
Yeah. So Jake lost all of his stuff in a house fire.
Yep.
I don't know. I think it was last year.
Yeah, it's
last year or the year before, somewhere in there. It's been a little bit, but he lost all of his stuff in a house fire. He volunteered to come up and show me how to bear bait and kind of what to do on spot and stalk and all that kind of stuff. And he had bears coming into his site, but he didn't have any way of really going up and camping out and being there for a couple days at a time. So I was like, hey man, let's go up and get this bear for you. Kind of saying thanks for helping out,
Absolutely.
And he's like, yeah, that sounds good. I've actually got 2 really good bears on this site. So if they both show up, like, I want you to shoot this other bear. I was like, well, that sounds good, man, but I'm here for you.
Yep.
Like, I'm bringing this rifle as backup, and just in case that other bear shows up. And we went and sat for, I think we were on our 4th night. It was the last night that we could hunt, and then we had to come back for the Putts for Patriots event.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So we had to come back for that Putts for Patriots event. So last night, right at last light, we finally get some big bears coming in.
Finally.
And from the pictures that Jake showed me,
Yeah.
it was his boar. Like, and so I'm like, dude, that's definitely that boar. He's like, nah, it's not. It's not him. That cinnamon bear that I shot, that sow, she looked like a boar. Her ears are this far apart.
Oh man.
And you know, not standing straight up, looking like a dog.
Yeah.
And so I was like, dude, that's definitely that boar. Anyways, he says, no, it's not. You need to shoot that bear, though. So I was like, okay, man. It was a good 5 minutes of deliberation.
Yeah.
I think I got the video somewhere, but
You shoot it. No, you shoot it. No,
Yeah, I
you
was like,
shoot it.
you seriously don't want either one of these bears. Like, if you want to shoot that cinnamon, I'll shoot the mohawk.
Yeah.
He's like, no, not the bear I'm after. I was like, okay. If you're going to twist my arm into shooting this bear, I'm going to shoot it.
Yeah.
So I lined up on the cinnamon, and she's like my first bear. I've never shot a bear before. And this is kind of my first time with active bears on a site, other than the 2 small bears the day before, and then the cub that visited us all 4 days.
Oh yeah, that little guy.
Yeah, a little chocolate cub.
Hey Butch, where do I shoot this guy?
And so I lined up on her, and she was like ducking down, feeding a little bit, and then stand up, duck down. And so she finally gave me a shot, smoked her. She went 18.5 yards is what we lazed it at.
Nice.
She piled up and death moaned. And this boar, this mohawk bear, just freaking stood there. He's like, what the hell? And when she death moaned, he kind of took off out of the bait site up the hill just a little bit, like 15 yards. And kind of settled down, looked around a little bit, and was like, well, whatever, I'm hungry.
Yep.
So he went back into the bait and started eating again.
Jeez.
And I was like, holy shit. I was like, out of the excitement, I was like, Brody, you want to shoot this bear? And I kind of thought, right after I said that, I was like, shit, I better ask Jake if that's all right.
Yeah.
And so I was like, Jake, do you want this bear to live or die? He's like, that bear's got to die.
It's at our site.
He's like, it's an elk killer. So, and he wasn't a small bear by any means, but he wasn't a giant. But still, just the character of him.
He's cool looking.
Yeah, he's got a cinnamon face with a mohawk, and then he's got blonde and chocolate sides.
Honestly, I couldn't think of a better bear for Brody to shoot.
It's definitely Brody's bear. Yeah.
Yeah, it's his twin.
Yeah, when I saw that bear coming down the hill, I was like, dude, that has to go on a wall or something. So, yeah, dude, I shot my bear. That bear, mohawk, came back in. Brody shot him with my rifle. And he piled up 15 yards out of the bait site by a tree, and then the work started. And so neither one of us, it was both of our first bears.
That's cool though.
It was awesome, dude. I just kind of sat there and just took it in for a minute, like, holy shit, this is awesome.
Well, to be able to double up like that on your first bear and your kid's first bear, you'd be able to do it together, like. Yeah, that's why we do this type of stuff. You know, it's the memories. You're not going to be forgetting that anytime soon.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. And like we turned around, and I was like, man, look at that, dude. Like the sunset was just bright orange through the trees and all that stuff. It was cool.
Nice.
But
that's a good way to end the season.
Yeah. It was an awesome ending to the season. I ended up taking Jake back up for a couple more days, trying to chase that big boar, and he gave us the slip all 3 days.
Is he only coming in at night, or?
He was coming in at 5 o'clock in the morning. We had them on camera at 5 o'clock in the morning. And so we went and sat all night, or all evening, until we couldn't see anymore. Got out of there, rebaited the next morning, sat all night again. Didn't come in. We went and sat at 5 o'clock in the morning. Or we went in there at 4 a.m. and he didn't come in.
Man.
So, and then I had other obligations I had to get back home for, and
well, a bear don't get that big by being dumb, so.
No, he's a big bear.
I saw the pictures.
I wanted to see him hit the ground and have the challenge of packing him out, but
right.
Yeah, we didn't get that opportunity, but still, just everything that we learned. Jake learned a lot. I learned a ton. Brody learned a lot.
Yep.
It was awesome. That night we shot our bears. Like, we went back and decided to pack up camp, and then head home and skin the bears out here. And we finally got done skinning bears at 1:30 in the afternoon. So we shot bears at 9:30 p.m., 9:20 to 9:30, and then the work was finally done about 1:30.
That's when the real work begins, is after you pull that trigger.
Yeah. We thought we were tired when we were gutting them, right? And then, shit, no, man.
Nope.
But yeah, that's how my last 60 days, 45, 60 days has been. I know I was counting them up, and I've spent over 40 days in the field.
Nice.
So it's been...
I could think of a bunch of worse places to be.
Oh, so. Yeah, for sure. But it was just a grind.
Yeah.
Like, those two bears were the first shooter bears that we saw.
Yep.
Out of all of that. But it was a lot of fun. We learned a lot, and the experiences that we got out of it were just... I mean, you can't get it sitting on the couch.
Nope.
You can watch it on YouTube, but
it's better to be the guy on screen. Mm-hmm. Well, awesome. Well, anything else you want to add to finish this off?
Shit, dude. Like I said, it was the last day of our hunt, and we sat there until last light. It was, I think, sunset was 9:21 or something like that. Yep. And it was right at 9:21 when the first shot was fired. So just, if you have to be willing to sit there,
stick it out.
If it ends, if I go home knowing I left something on the mountain, like, I don't know how Chase feels, but for me,
those last 10 minutes,
it was 10 more minutes. Like, we're already there. We've already been suffering for 7 days. I mean, it was more like thriving in the backcountry, really.
Yeah. Still work.
Yeah, it's still work. But, you just got to be willing to stick it out. And when you do, it pays off. Yeah. In our case, in mine and Brody's case, it paid off. In Jake's case, it didn't pay off yet. But those... it'll pay off down the road. So hopefully we can get that big guy in the fall.
There you go.
If not, then hopefully he's around for next year. And the sacrifices, they might not pay off at that moment in time.
Well, we've seen that time and time again.
But yeah, you keep doing it until it works. And
sometimes it pays off the next season. So
yeah. Sometimes exactly. Yeah. Sometimes it's next year. Sometimes it's 2 years. Right. But it'll pay off. So
cool.
Yeah, man. So it's just, stick it out. You're already there. Like, just keep going with that stuff, and that's pretty much what our bear season was. Just sticking it out and grinding and putting in the work. So that's pretty much that's a wrap for spring 2024.
Awesome.
As far as spring bear goes, yeah.
Cool.
So let's you've been on some adventures lately, kind of going to some shows and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think we can cover that on the next round.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Sweet. Two of them.